Welcome everybody to the Move Past Plastic meeting for August 15th, 2022. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. All right, hope everybody can see the screen. So we're just going to quickly go through some actions from our members. Gail Landers, she has submitted a letter to the editor twice. And on one was in reference to responding to an article on recycling difficulties. So as you know, that's very much one of our big initiatives that we just had. And the other one that she did is she made this display out of a recycled barrel and some branches. And on the branches, she put plastic that's not recyclable. And on the front of the barrel, she put alternatives to use. So I thought that was very clever. And she also had this sheet that explained what's recyclable and not recyclable. So go Gail. So does anybody have any questions on old business? I found out my local community had plans to put in synthetic turf at their high school through a newspaper article. So I wrote a letter to the editor that will be going in the newspaper tomorrow, and shared the harms of synthetic turf with you guys and through social media. We also participated in the asking for permanent installation of the climate clock organizational letter, and we will be submitting that within a few weeks, hopefully. And you guys know very much about the plastic take back. And did anybody have any comments on that?
We're doing any follow-up with either of those?
Yes, we are. We're going to do a SWOT analysis in a minute on that to say what went well, what we need to do moving forward, and okay, yeah, great. Okay, so we're going to circle back around for that here in a little bit. And hi, Peterlyn.
Hi.
Hello. We're just going over old business. Do you want to interrupt and let us know what you've been working on?
You know what? I have to put the audio up here. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I have. Hold on.
Take your time.
My laptop's starting to disintegrate. Where is escaping? I don't understand.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and let Danelle start with us and share with us what she thought went well with our plastic take back. So on the letter, as far as that goes, we did meet our goal of getting 100 signatures. And we did have some movement because of those letters that you guys signed. We did have the branding and sustainability person from, how do you say it, Danelle, from Delahaye's, Ahold Delahaye's, and also someone from the Giant headquarters reach out to me. We had a meeting and we've had multiple follow-up emails. So of course, they're just trying to push what they are doing and how wonderful it is, of course. And a lot of it is just it's nice, and I'm not saying it's not, it's just a little, it's just small and not really addressing the issue. So yes, I'm glad they're putting in bee pollinator gardens. I'm glad they're trying to fish sustainably, but kind of like, you know, I said, if we don't stop plastic production of single use, you won't have bees or pollinator gardens and fish, you know. It needs to be much more than that, and their recycled benches and whatever. So we need systemic change to stop plastic, single-use plastic production. And so I'm gonna give it to Danelle here to share with us about how she thought the event went. Go ahead, Danelle.
I mean, one of the big things that I noticed was how well you pivot under whatever is thrown at you. So I think that the energy was good. The people who were there, I mean, came from pretty far away. Some people, that was impressive. So that was some good and a lot of knowledgeable people were there. I guess my biggest thing was just more on the focusing on the other stuff, on the like how to push back on their quick change of plans on us.
Maybe we should ask Peter Lynn if she read and knows that our plan to Giant through our talks had told me that they don't want us showing up there. Or were you aware of that?
I'm sorry, you know, I'm sitting next to an air conditioner and I have you at 95 volume.
Okay,
Could
I'll
you-
talk louder. How's
Yeah.
that? Better?
Yeah,
Okay, so we were supposed to have show up on the 30th at our local Giant store for an educational program that was just to last like 30 minutes, and then also at Walmart. In talking to Giant, you know, as those letters started kicking out, they'd asked us not to show up. And I pushed back a few times. Corporate. The local management from both stores welcomed us. And they liked what we were doing and they wanted us to do it and they thought it was important. But both corporate, Walmart and Giant, did not want us to show up day up.
sure.
So Giant said, well, since we're talking, that's not necessary. So I kicked back to them, but yes, it is, because just because we're talking, that doesn't educate the public. And that's what the primary reason is. It's to educate the public on why recycling doesn't work, why we need systemic change, and to hold producers responsible, and what are the store's responsibilities, because what the consumer can do is going to be different than what the store can do and what the producers can do, and we all need to work together. But I still respected them because I didn't you know, want any trouble, which I knew would ensue if we showed up. Basically, I knew the police would say, hey, leave. So Walmart, we were supposed to be there. I had signed up to be there. The head of the manager of the store knew that. They were getting all our correspondence, just like everyone from MPP was. They never said, don't come. We show up morning of, they said, you're not allowed to be here. And so apparently both Giant corporate and Walmart corporate, as well as local managers, had talked about our presence. And they were, you know, had contacted our local police department to peruse and kick us off. But we pivoted and went for Walmart back to my house and held the educational program there, and it went really, like Danelle was saying, I think it went really well. Danelle, how do you think, like, did people learn something? Do you think they felt more motivated to learn more?
I think so. I think it's just hard because a lot of the people who showed up are people who are already involved.
They're not, though. They weren't.
Oh, no?
Nope.
Oh, I think that that's great. It seemed as though they were pretty well versed, the people, but that's the people who were
Yeah.
speaking. And obviously then
Yeah.
the people that we were hoping to reach were so many more people coming in and out of the stores.
Yes. Yeah.
So it would have been a much larger reach. However, I think it was educational for the people
Yeah.
that were there. And everyone that I've spoken to about this is interested in my like outside world too. So I think, I mean, I would hope that if we're allowed to
Yeah.
and to talk to people, then people will be interested.
Peterlin, did you have a chance to look at least the highlight video of that plastic take back?
I don't remember. When did you send that?
It was sent out probably around June 5th-ish, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere, I think it was 4 to 7 days after the event, which was on the 30th.
You
But
know,
anyways, you can take a look at it. There's a longer version and then there's a highlight version.
you
The
moved,
highlight version is
you
short.
moved your laptop and I'm seeing the keyboard.
Okay,
All
there,
right.
how's that? Better? So thank you for letting me know. Okay, I know, let's see. How's the, oh, there, now I can see what you're seeing. Okay, perfect. All right. So the other thing is MPP is helping organize a local paddle for our creek. And you're probably thinking, okay, why is that important for Move Past Plastic? And the reason is because that's an opportunity to teach people about microplastics, as well as the typical plastic litter that they're used to seeing, and how that impacts the health of the creek and it's in our water cycle. So these are simple things that they don't know. So it's another forum of outreach to do that, as well as it's just nice to get people out in nature to appreciate it and know that they're a part of it.
I'm appalled at how much people don't recycle. What did I go to recently? Oh, I know. I took my neighbor to a seminar on cataract surgery and they had aluminum cans. So that was okay. But all of those little aluminum cans, soda, juice, whatever, could have been recycled. Do you think they had 2 bins? No. And I guess I could have gone up to someone and said, hey, have you thought of recycling? But I got there late. And then my neighbor just kind of, she's 76 and she says, I hardly recycle. And it's fun because she sends money to a whole bunch of animal welfare places, SPCA, you name it, she sends money. And how can you want to conserve animals without wanting to recycle? I don't get it. So I'm going over there and helping her with the trash, but I'm just amazed and appalled at how little people do. Then there was another event probably about a month ago that was done with, it doesn't matter, it's immaterial. It doesn't matter to you, but it was a large corporation. No, it was a large organization that had to do with the church and giving out, I want to say handbags, backpacks to kids from low-income families. So they're there, chucking stuff around, and I'm saying, don't you recycle here? No, we don't recycle. So I said, look, I'll take all the plastic and I'll bring it home and recycle it. So I put the thought into their head, and I meant to follow up to the mayor's office to let them know that this place wasn't recycling. In fact, let me write myself a note right now.
Before you write that note, though, actually something that is even more important is the fact that the things that are put into the recycling bin are not really recycled. So that is something that was a focus of our plastics discussion, is how, like, what is it, 5% of what is recyclable, not even just what's put in the recycling bin, but 5% of what is recyclable isn't recycled. And then if there's even a little bit of contamination within one,
They won't do it.
yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I know that.
So
Yeah.
it's bigger, it's more about not doing plastics at all and stressing that, or having more accurate, strict recycling of like
Right.
just aluminum or something like that that will actually be recycled.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
but the gas and oil companies, they don't want to lose their stupid plastic. Now that we're going more and more to electric, unless someone can get into their brains and get them to think differently.
right,
Probably-
that's what we're working on with these initiatives. We're trying to have, get our municipalities to do, bag bans and bottle bills, and get our states to do those, and put extended producer responsibility laws and all of that kind of stuff. So that's something that we want to really start working on. But it does help. It's talking about recycling. What that's good for is to introduce people to the fact that it doesn't work, but if you are going to do it, you need to do it right. And there's almost nothing that can be recycled but a bottle, pretty much. 1 and 2 bottle neck smaller than base. So that's why it's still good to mention that, but we need to move beyond the recycling. That's not the answer. And, like Danelle was saying, 95% of plastic is non-recyclable. So, so that brings us to our new business. So right now, over the next couple of weeks, I need to, we have a bag ban ordinance drafted up. So now we need to do the, I don't know why it says bag ban draft. We need to do the strategic recommendation. For that. So I'm going to need help with that. So even, looking up and doing some research on information for us to put, it's going to be really short. It's 2 pages, which for me, that actually, for most people, they're like, oh, good, that's going to be easy. For me, I'm going, oh my God, that's going to be so hard. Because I have time.
That's harder.
I think it's hard to pare it down and to put just the critical information. So I'm really going to need help with that, as well as general editing. So researching information, figuring out what we need to put in, and all of that. We'll bounce to the components of that here in a minute. And then also we're going to continue with the municipalities, to ask our municipalities to test their drinking water for PFAS. So I got our local municipality borough to test, and of course it came back with higher PFAS than even the EPA is now saying is acceptable. So
did they release those numbers yet?
No, they have not
Okay.
released the numbers yet. They're doing further testing. So this is really important, because if your municipality finds themselves in that circumstance, which is most likely, I would say, they can be one of the first to apply for the $10 billion unregulated contaminant 5 rule funding to get further testing and remediation done, because that $1 billion will not last long. And those funds get released in 2023 through 2025. So you want your municipality to test now, so they know if they need to solicit for those funds, because they'll be gone in no time. So
do you know when those funds were released?
no, they'll be released in 2023, like I said.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Yeah.
were saying that there were ones, and then they
No,
were new.
they're
release
going to
is
be
gonna-
released in
okay,
2023 to 2025. So we need to get our municipalities to test now, to do their initial testing to see if there's a potential problem. And then that way they know if they need to do further analysis like my borough is doing, and then potentially, for that.
Okay, so how do you get them to test?
So I am going to run my Ensure Safe Drinking Water series again here within a month. I'm going to run 2 at 12 and 2 at 6 o'clock. And so the easiest thing to do is to attend one of those sessions. So
Yeah.
that you learn about what to do, and then you'll be able to go with your municipality with that information, and you'll get provided a toolkit. You'll get the recording of the presentation. Like if you didn't feel comfortable enough that you could just slice out that, 10-minute presentation that you could show them during the council meeting. I went to my borough council meeting. I gave a 10-minute presentation and then, told them of this importance, and then they tested. So they were real responsive. So it was an ideal situation. However, I did go to 2 other municipalities that were smaller. They were townships, and they were overwhelmed, and they're going to need help and further push to go through it. Also, the difference between some is if your municipality has its own water, it's easier for them to say, I'm going to test, versus if they're getting it from a third party entity, which a lot of townships do. However, like I told those townships, they can still test their water with or without the permission of their drinking water provider saying they're going to test. And then they could also rally their community to push that needs to be tested. So there's some avenues. So those are the things that we're doing that are kind of legislative right now that we're going to be working on. Another thing that just came up, like I mentioned, is we have artificial turf being put in at our local high school. My guess is a lot of high schools are going to be putting in artificial turf who haven't, because of all this COVID funding. Now they're denying that that's why they're doing it. But my guess is they've been wanting to put in artificial turf apparently for a few years prior to COVID, but they didn't, probably because there wasn't funding, but now they have COVID funding, and but I'm thinking they could use COVID funding for the things it really should be, which is mental health, getting kids outside, getting, doing other things besides putting artificial turf. Now, what's the problem with artificial turf? Just, yeah, so about it super quick. Yeah. It is full. It's of toxic chemicals and PFAS, and it's this one of the 7 exposures for lead youth. It's just tons of stuff. It's horrible for the environment. It's dangerous for their immediate health with heat and burns and skin, less long-term health. So we're wanting to address that in our communities as well. So I wrote a brief report that you can share with your local school district board and start there. And then I'm working with Health and Safe Playing Fields to have their support for those municipalities who are considering putting in artificial turf. So that is what is going on there. So some research that we need to do here, and if your school district was considering it, is to, of course, find out why do they want it.
Oh, they think it's low cost and low maintenance.
Yeah, they think it's low cost and low maintenance. It's not. So, but when you listen to them, then you can give them the feedback that shows them they're not getting what they're bargaining for, right? Because
I think they already installed it. I'll have to. I think it's already installed.
Still good to give it to them, and give it to the community and put an article in the newspaper, because they might be putting it on public playgrounds. They might be putting in more of it. If they want to replace it in that 7-ish, 8 years, you could maybe get them not to. So there's that. So the other thing that we could start doing, if we wanted to start compiling and people are interested in start writing game questions, either Quizzo, Jeopardy, who knows, any kind of questions that we could start having Bury Tap Talks to just start educating people about plastics.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a very cool thing to do. And then, you know, we could like have people register teams and for like, if we do it, we could do it for free, but if we wanted to do it for a small fee, then the funds could go to MPP to help subsidize the different stuff.
Yeah, it's already rolled out. The plastic turf is already there, but yeah.
Okay, so for public education, I will be meeting with their local school board for the artificial turf on the 18th. I am going to be talking to the municipal advisory board for the PFAS. So for the county. So that's something else that you could do as well as just going to your local municipality is I just heard about this function that's called the municipality advisory board.
Okay.
County. So that's something to take note of because then you have a bigger reach, but you can start off with your municipality. And then I am going to be talking with some corporate leaders and the mayor to introduce that bag ban and that strategic summary that we're going to all work on. And then I'm working with Climate Convergence to get the climate clock permanently installed in the Capitol in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
And then also we need to figure out what does MPP want to do at the Climate Convergence.
And when is that?
So that they had it last year in this work with organizing the Climate Convergence or just what MPP is going to do and participate in. Just let me know, but that's probably going to be somewhere between, I'm guessing, mid-May to the end of June is the timeline. Probably they'll keep to, I'm guessing. So, yeah. So that's what I have. Let me bounce out of this and take you guys to the thing that we're going to need to work on for the strategic plan. Because if we work on it here, then Peterlyn, do you guys have a bag ban in your municipality?
Oh, what?
A bag ban in your municipality?
Oh, good God, no.
Okay, so
well, the only place that's doing it is a grocery store. One, I can't remember the name of it. It's out of New York State. I'm sure there's one down in your place. Starts with a W.
Okay.
Wegmans?
Yes, thank you, Wegmans.
Okay. Well, good. So you'd be able to, by helping with the one here in the borough, you'd be able to take that knowledge and that information, the ordinance that we've written up, and use it for your community. You'd be able to take this strategic recommendation and use it. So you kind of like have a springboard. You'll have, you won't be starting blank.
Right.
So that's the good reason to, help with this. So
yeah, I've talked to Price Chopper about no bags, but the only thing they do is they will take off 3 cents or 5 cents. I can't remember which. And whenever I go into a store to buy something, I always make a big deal. No plastic. I have my own carry-in bag. And I say to the cashier, I did this at Rite Aid, you know what? Maybe you should contact your corporate office and make a suggestion to take off 3 cents for every person who doesn't use a plastic bag, because they would be saving money. It would be cost cutting for these big companies because they have to buy the plastic.
Yeah. So that's something that then, Peterlyn, you might want to help me look up for the cost part. So basically, this is pretty short. We have to define the problem. and our, you know, what is the strategic plan recommendation that we're addressing.
Mhm.
Then we need to talk about the bag ban in relationship to the climate action plan that our municipality has. And if yours didn't, still the connection with climate. And further actions with that connection.
Mhm.
Then we also need to have a brief statement that describes the recommended strategy and why it's a good fit for the community. So for us, it'd be Carlisle, yours would be your municipality. And then it gets into the cost. So we need to state the anticipated cost to implement, maintain, monitor, and the recommendations for source of funding if need be.
Mhm.
So that's something that you can, some of that. And then we need to talk about and include the economic benefits and, you know, any relevant research, as you know, can
Okay.
go into that. And then describe how and when we're going to move forward with the bag ban, implementing it. You know, a lot of communities will have a 1 or 2 year notification and a 6-month weaning off period, or, you know, whatever, these kind of things. So that's kind of what would go in there. And then measures of impact, state what success should look like, how are we going to measure that success, and when and if we need to amend the plan, how do we determine that, and how often might we need to reflect on things and consider other alternatives to
Mhm.
make this achievable. So that all of this has to be summarized in 2 pages. So it's gonna be I'm gonna need, you know, gonna need some eyeballs and some help and some research
Okay.
with this. So that'd be awesome. And so this kind of needs to get done by next week. I have to take it to the council meeting. And like I said, I'm meeting with the giant board and the mayor. So if it may not be perfect by the end of next week, but if we could get a nice draft, and then we can, you know, refine it the following week, you know. So
Okay. So what do you want to present? Again, you're saying, how many slides did you just show that relate to what you want to present? Would you say 3 slides, 5 slides of what you're showing me, us?
oh, so well, the problem and definition. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 sections in here. Can you see them?
Not really.
So it says problem definition. You don't see that?
It's very small. You're in, if you go to slideshow and click on the slide, well, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 6 slides. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my gosh, this whole time she hasn't been seeing this screen. You don't see a Word document that says strategic plan?
No, I see a PowerPoint slide. It says new business public education. And
That
then
is
along with the
weird.
side of that,
Oh my goodness, this whole time I've been talking, and you poor thing, you should have stopped me.
well, I thought it was going along with the PowerPoint slide.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Okay, so
Oh,
here,
okay, okay, all right.
so there's a problem definition.
Okay, okay.
We, you know, describe the problem.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Down
Go ahead,
just a little.
scroll. Community content. Okay.
So that's it. So 6 sections.
So what do you want to, you just want to expand on all of this for them?
Well, these are the definitions of the things we need to write up, right? So we have to, you know, write up the
I see what you're saying. Okay, okay, got it.
okay.
Mhm.
So, the times, let's see. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. And any comments now while I look up my,
Just that Peter Lynn, I had cut you off earlier before you were going to make a note to yourself to talk about recycling at
Oh,
the
right.
and I
And you
wanted to
said
make sure
one.
that you put in whatever you wanted.
good thinking
After
for
I did
now.
that.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so
it's pretty useless.
I mean, but as Tamala said, it's also like
it's not useless.
it's still like the importance, showing the importance that the public
Okay.
cares. It's a step in the rightish direction.
Okay, so if we could get them to just even do plastic bottles, that would be an accomplishment.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then, if you go back to the email I sent with the links of the plastic take back,
Okay.
and look and watch at least the highlights, if not the main, one with, the
Yeah.
main one's 20 minutes, the highlights 10.
Okay.
A lot more is said on the main one, but
Yeah.
that will give you a pretty good overview. And then I can send you, like, I have this paper that outlines very clearly what's like recycled and why. And,
Okay.
you know, just that triangle with the numbers,
Yeah.
that's the resin number. That does not mean it's recyclable. Just that information, like, people don't know that.
But what's also really
Yeah.
confusing is that the recycling center here, they take numbers 1 through 7. They accept it. Doesn't mean it gets recycled,
Yeah.
but they say, go ahead and put it in
Mhm.
the recycling. And they say that they'll sort it and take out what can be recycled. But people are then under the impression that those things are being recycled and they're not recyclable. So
Yeah, that's something I really talked with my mayor about, and the public works director is, I'm like, you know, on the website, you say that 1, 2, 5, and 7 are recycled, but that's not true.
Yeah.
You know, so it's false information to the public. So even if you can get your municipality to change that, and then also make sure that what they say is recycled does match up with their local MRF that's taking the recycling. And then, as Danelle said, that still doesn't mean it's recycled, because plastic is a commodity.
Mhm.
And at most of the time, the only thing that's a commodity in plastic are the 1s and 2s,
Right.
smaller than bases. That's it.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
on occasion, maybe a 5 will be, maybe in a 7 will be, but it's so inconsistent and it's just not realistic.
Yeah. It's usually 1s and 2s.
So I'm looking at this, I'm looking at my calendar. I have a presentation I'm going to give Wednesday nights. So I need to spend tomorrow making that presentation.
Mhm.
But I have time Wednesday, like from 11 to 2, I can work on this strategic plan.
Mhm.
And then I have Friday morning that I can work on it. And let's see, I could work on it. I can work on it Wednesday 11 to 2. I can work on it Thursday afternoon and Friday morning.
Uh-huh.
How are those times for you girls?
so I won't be available on Wednesday as my calendar stands right now.
Okay.
Thursday I have an appointment at 3:00. So I have to leave at like 2:30,
Okay.
but I would be
And-
available.
Okay. And then here's something that we can do too is, let me go back to screen share. We can also, if we want, if you're available, are you both available like Friday? We can start filling this in.
Uh-huh.
Each of us can take sections that are interesting to us. We can start typing it up and then meet like on Friday to go over it
Yeah.
and see where holes are and where we need to pivot.
Okay.
Fine. So Friday morning I am working, but it doesn't mean that I can't do this at the same
Just
time.
listen. Okay.
So I can still communicate. It's just might be interrupted. And that's I'll be working from 7 to like 12:15. So but at
Okay.
the beginning of the day, the morning, depending on how early you're talking,
Okay.
I could do. Earlier is probably a little bit better.
Okay.
Because towards the morning it'll be maybe a little bit less hectic
Okay. Okay.
for me.
Peterlyn, what do you think with that?
Well, I just not stopped, but the semester ended. I got all my grades in today, so I'm free for a week or two, relatively speaking.
Okay. Well, then, let me get a paper and write this down, 'cause it's harder for me to toggle with my computer screen. So let's pick, so sometime Wednesday, sometime Thursday, and sometime Friday, and we'll just use whatever we need. And if we need to just connect for a few minutes and bounce off and work on our own, then we can do that. But at least if we're connecting each, at least some of us each of those days. So how's that? Anytime during that time. And I'll just send out
Okay.
I'll send out a Zoom link. And so Peterlyn, when do you think you might be able to connect between them?
Are you saying Wednesday?
Yes.
And I might be able to jump in at like 1:30, but that's not a guarantee.
Okay, on Wednesday. Okay.
Like 1:30, 2:00.
Okay. So even just to touch base, to just look over whatever you've gotten accomplished.
I'm
you'll be
open.
able to pop in. Okay. So I'll just put you we'll just start at 11 and start working. And then Thursday, I'm available 1 to 4.
Right now, I'm open.
Good. So,
I can do one also.
okay, good. And then,
You're saying one.
Friday, say 8:30
At night?
in the morning.
Oh, God, never.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine. So Danelle, you wanted that, right? So
Yeah.
Danelle will meet with me at 8:30 Friday. Peterlyn, what time would you like to meet later in the morning?
11?
Okay, sounds good to me. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll get us a Zoom link for all of those days, and you in on what? After this meeting, I will make a Google Doc and send it for you to start filling in, okay?
Yeah.
And so let's go over our parts. So I'll work on the definition. Because how we define it might be different, and it'll be good to have different perspectives, but that'll be like my primary thing, but you guys look into that. And then let's see. So the next part is relationship to the climate action plans. So I think I'm going to need to do that since I've been working with the Climate Action Commission on that. So that'll be mine as well.
Okay.
So relationship is Tamala's. Okay, so now we start getting into community context. Describe a recommendation while it's good for Carlisle. So Danelle, you want to help me with that?
Sure.
Okay, so community context. And Peterlyn, it gets to cost. That's something you were mentioning. So how about you start working on that?
Okay.
And now one thing I think is important, and we want to consider the actual cost savings, like you had mentioned about from purchasing plastic bags. I think that's important, but also the externalized cost too, right? So those can be mentioned, like there's a chemical in plastic bags that affects you know, this wouldn't be exactly local, but I'm just mentioning it, like there's bacteria in the ocean that create 10% of our oxygen. Well, there's a chemical in the plastic bags that kills those bacteria that produce our oxygen. So, but there's a lot of other, you know, connections and health costs and expenses and things. So there's the more direct cost, and then there's, like I said, the extended cost or the indirect cost. Okay. So Peterlin will work on that. And then we have, yeah, you can see in red here, Peterlin, how it says include all economic and environmental benefits.
Could you copy, just copy and paste I'm trying to write here and my writing isn't that great.
I'll write all this. Don't you worry. Like I said, I'm going to send you your name for the sections that you're green on.
Okay.
So I've got it. Yeah. Don't stress about it. And then measuring the impact of success. So what does that look like? I think that would be a really good one for all of us to work on, because each of us are going to think about that differently. You know, what is success, and, you know, alternatives and outcomes that might be unachievable, and what we would recommend, whatever. Okay, so I'll put us all down for that. Okay. So I think we are here at 7 o'clock, and I think we did a good job of getting this meeting going.
Sure.
Lynn, is there anything that you would like to do in your community? Talk about anything, you know, like we're going to be concentrating on this in the next 2 weeks. You'll see the information about the PFAS that was just sent out. There's all the links for the article for the turf, but it seems like that's not a priority for your municipality now, but the PFAS might be. So when that gets sent out, look for that. But otherwise, other than that, I think for the immediate moment, we got to get this cranked out.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to look into definitely New Jersey for what their ban looks like.
Yes.
And all of the documentation, well, not all of it, but the documentation of what they've submitted and what they put in.
One we can look at real quick, not a plan, but it was a PowerPoint by Westchester. So that's something that we can look at, Peterlin, on Wednesday.
Okay.
Too. Let's see, where did that go? So they have a, you know, a PowerPoint, but maybe we can take some of their ideas, because, you know, they're defining the problem. That would be part of our definition, right? Alternatives. So we can use other sources. We're not just doing this from scratch.
Right.
Okay. So just between now and Wednesday, just start
Costs for me.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then, so here's like, I can get you some information for here. Let me stop sharing this real quick. Let me see if I can pull up the information for the cost here. That our borough has, see if they have anything. I'll look, Peterlin, and see if they have anything in our borough, because like our borough did some surveys and they have some information. So anything that has to do with cost, I'll get that to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, well then I'm gonna let us bounce off of here, I guess. And yeah, and if you have anybody else that wants to work on any of these things, send them our way, because we're actually doing so many awesome things.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Nice
Thank you.
to meet you. Bye.
Nice to meet you too. Bye-bye.